Ladies and gentlemen, this is a terrible, terrible moment in modern American political history. Charlie Kirk has passed away. Um, Charlie Kirk has died. The Wall Street Journal, Trump says. He was assassinated today. His life was taken. And what can I tell you other than this is a man who used logic, reason, intellect. It doesn't matter if you disagree with him. It doesn't matter if you think that he was illogical or irrational, or because he wasn't. He was very logical, very rational. His views were almost always presented in a very logical, rational, reasonable manner. If you disagreed with him, fine. That doesn't mean that anyone's life should be taken because you disagree with somebody. But that's the vantage point on the morally superior, highly educated among us. If you disagree with them, oh my God. If they redefine words and take absurd positions on things that, on topics where they routinely lose arguments and lose elections, and President Trump twice got the White House in 2016 after every pundit said he would never happen, and then regained the Oval Office in 2024 in the greatest political comeback of all time. Really, one of the greatest in the history of mankind, possibly the greatest, when you consider the entire American political establishment, a big part of the government, and the world was against him. And one of the most influential, intelligent, awesome individuals within this whole thing the past 10 years has been Charlie Kirk, speaking to not only college students, but the world, but going to college campuses, risking his life every time, and his life was taken. This is the Fox segment on that right now.
It is my great dishonor to be the person that says this and breaks this to you on television, but President Donald Trump is announcing on Truth Social, the great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me. And now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and his family. Charlie, we love you. Charlie Kirk, according to the President of the United States, is dead. I don't really know where you go from here. I don't know where we go from here in a news program, and I don't know where we go from here in America.
Well, let's see. It took about 3 weeks of negative media coverage to get morally superior, wonderful, highly educated liberal Democrats to key Teslas. Right after the Dobbs decision, you had churches in 7 states vandalized. You had $1 to $2 billion in property damage, and I believe George Floyd was essentially murdered. But I don't believe $2 billion in property damage is a rational, just, moral way of addressing a terrible injustice. But that property damage, by and large, was one political side. It wasn't the side that caused a quote-unquote insurrection, which was one day where, oh, that's right, about four supporters of President Trump lost their lives. So even within that day that Democrats obsess over, which was a terrible day, I agree with Democrats on that. That day, January the 6th, a terrible day. It was one day. You had weeks of Tesla vandalism and dealerships being attacked. You had 7 states of churches in 7 states and other buildings, other organizations being intimidated, vandalized, and you had property damage throughout the country, in every state of the country, especially blue states. Billions, okay? $1 to $2 billion. This is according to the Foundation for Economic Education. Okay? So, spare me the nonsense when you hear, like, pundits who voiced against, who had voices against Charlie Kirk say, oh, this is really terrible, this type of world that we live in is created by conservatives. No, it's not. No, it's not. You had CNN with literally a journalist in front of a building burning in flames, A building in flames in 2020 saying the protests are fiery but mostly peaceful. You have billions in property damage. After the Dobbs decision, you had chaos and mayhem, and of course, Democrats stood by, said nothing. You had Tesla vandalism in 2025. And all the while, it's, oh, well, it's just property. Well, it's not your property. And now you had Trump's life, an assassination attempt on Trump, and then you have Charlie Kirk passing away. And please explain how. Actually, don't, because I really don't care. But if anybody tries to explain how the violence and the chaos comes from the conservative side, yeah, of course there are maniacs on the conservative side. Of course there are maniacs who are, Republican or conservative or right wing or whatever. The majority of the chaos and mayhem is shielded by a public relations monstrosity called American media, where CNN, MSNBC, The Atlantic, Mother Jones, The Nation, Daily Beast, it's all right. Hit pieces. How many hit pieces have been written against Charlie Kirk? How many hit pieces have been written against your favorite liberal YouTuber? Not many. Not many by even conservative publications. They don't care. How many hit pieces has this man endured? How many threats against his life has this man endured? How many times has this man been defamed? And God bless him and his family. He gave his life for a political cause. And it's like, I don't think, he was far more courageous and noble and just than most people, Charlie Kirk, because he went to, unfortunately, the belly of the beast. He went to the ground zero of liberal and progressive and far left ideology. He went to college campuses and he spoke to them all the time. And he said, let me try to convince, or let me convince me that you're right. Let's have a discussion and talk. Let's have a discussion. Let's have a talk. And generally, you see, I used to watch these debates also, big YouTube channels. I have a small, growing, decent size, growing YouTube channel. Okay. It'll grow a lot more in the next year, 2 years. But I don't spend time with ad hominem attacks on, did you see what this left-leaning person said? But they do with Kirk. They do with others. I've been published a great number of times, never wrote a hit piece on anyone. And so I don't spend my time obsessing over what others say. I certainly don't disown friends and family because of politics. And it's like, you look, ladies and gentlemen, and it's like, he was a conservative political activist. He wasn't a right wing. Okay. He was pretty much the mainstream conservative political. He was the mainstream conservative political ideology. And it's like, this man, God bless his soul, will live forever. Charlie Kirk will live forever. And he's the exact opposite of what the person who tried to silence him wanted. We don't know exactly the political motive or ideology or why somebody took Kirk's life. We don't know, but we can pretty much assume the obvious. You saw what happened to President Trump. You saw what happened with Tesla and Elon Musk. You saw what happened after the Dobbs decision. You saw what happened after the reaction to what took place with George Floyd. Billion in property damage, and you had CNN every day saying, it's mostly peaceful, as buildings were being set ablaze behind the journalists. And you can go look at the comments on the channels that are left leaning. Oh, well, he deserved it. No, he didn't. Just because you can't defeat him in an argument, he should, his life should be taken because he said something you didn't like. Because your political viewpoint will never change. The same people who disagree with Charlie Kirk in 2025 will agree with him almost certainly 10 years, 20 years from now, in many cases. Hit subscribe. God bless you all. So sorry to have to, tell you all of this. God bless you.